Well, I hate to say this, but this is going to be a special video here, a tribute to conservatives' fallen idol, icon, and God, so to speak. Rush Limbaugh dead today. Mark this date, February 17th, 2021, on a Wednesday. We just got the news about a couple hours ago on social media, not to mention in the regular media, that lung cancer got his ass. He had been in ill health for so many years regarding it, fighting it left and right, apparently. A lot of people flocked to him because they liked his viewpoints, they liked his anger and hatred towards everyone else. And the thing of it is, when I hear liberal journalists or liberal-sounding journalists give this guy a little bit of praise, they are giving him a little bit of respect, but not much, because everything else that came out of his mouth was all bullshit. But people bought into his conservative ideas, spawned every other Tom, Dick, and Harry out there regarding conservatives, what their viewpoints are. And yes, I am what people call a libtard. A libtard and a libturd. You know, I really don't care. I don't care. I've heard too much conservative bullshit over the past 30 years, how much there has been conspiracies left and right. And then when I have, for the last 5 years, listening to someone spewing more conservative bullshit than anything else, I get nauseous about it. Rush Limbaugh and other guys like him capitalizing left and right on conspiracy without facts and figures, and just want to drive up the audience ratings left and right. And that's all that mattered to them, was driving up audience ratings left and right, not the truth. Because for them, truth was subjective. Truth was slimy. Truth was boring. Let's do fictional stories. And the biggest one it did for the last several months was talking about the election. An asshole gas bag was promoting left and right that was so fake that he won, despite what the numbers in each state certified was telling him. But no, they had to play it up. Every one of them. So now on the conservative networks out there, they're crying their eyeballs because their fallen idol is no more. No longer will his voice, as I'm changing the channel to see the constant bullshit coming out of people saying how much they love this guy. 70 years old. At one time, I feel sorry for the human being, but for everything else that came out of this guy, he was no human. But it's not for me to judge, and it's not for me to keep denigrating this guy, even though I have done it for a long time. I never like people pushing conspiracy theories, and to say that, and I'm not about to repeat the damn filth out there in the first place. But he would be the one arguing strenuously that the sky is other than blue right now, or the earth is flat, and there's a rogue planet coming out there to kill us. Now, he would allow stuff like that to happen. He would allow things like election results to be skewered like crazy. And let's skewer politicians of the liberal side because it's so fun. And I've heard too much talk of that. Culminated to the point where everybody of the conservative who listened to this guy, just about coming out of the damn woodwork, goes over to the Capitol, storms the place. Damn near kills people and officers, protesters, and they're laughing their asses off. And guys like Rush got off and stuff like this. They didn't even bother to denounce it. They wanted it. They wanted to show how government was weak. This should have been part of the Constitution. And these assholes kept forgetting. They are doing what the Constitution has stated. Their jobs. But I didn't see these assholes until there was a few of them just popped up into Congress. Representatives of the conspiracy nation out there. One who gets their committees pulled from her because she still falls in line with them. And they're not going to go for that crap again. We have elected senators, U.S. senators, voting and conspiring against the United States of America. They didn't want to impeach Trump twice. And they managed to stave it off, and yes, I did use the word once. And then you have some of them back-talking left and right, using both sides of their mouth. I can't say the libtard liberals out there, the Democrats, would be pure Snow White. They're also having issues as well. And yes, I had voted Democratic a long time ago. But I couldn't stand seeing, and I couldn't stand hearing the conservative bullshit left and right. I would support and defend the right for them to say the crap. Because there cannot be a democracy going on. There cannot be just one-sided party and one-sided viewpoint. There has to be multi-sided, including the ones that we so hate like crazy. A long time ago, I brought up Skokie, Illinois, the Skokie trials, back in the 70s. Back in the 70s, the American Nazi Party wanted to go through a Jewish community and spew their hatred like crazy. They sued for the right. Their lawsuit went all the way through the Supreme Court, and the court said, yep. By demonstrating their First Amendment rights, they are entitled to protest. However, the city had more of a say, and the Supreme Court did not give them, the American Nazi Party, that much of a leeway. They have the right to protest. They have a right to spread their filth, just like the GOP and their trumpets right now. The only problem is the local law enforcement and the local jurisdictions have more control and more say where and when and if. You have the right to say what the hell you have. No recrimination against the federal government if you're going to be doing it against the government or against something else. But the problem is it doesn't protect you from the consequences afterwards. It never does. You have the right to say it. You're just going to get your ass kicked. But you're not going to get the ass kicked by the government if you're protesting the government at this point. If you're saying that the government was wrong and what their election results was, fine. But storming the Capitol of the United States, no, that's not protesting. That's anarchy, that's riot, that's sedition right there. And besides trespassing, and not to mention murder charges or conspiracies, they went beyond what was allowed on the First Amendment. And I suppose there's going to be many more court cases brought to the Supreme Court to redefine and narrow the scope of what the First Amendment rights are going to be like. What we are allowed to get away with and what we're not allowed to get away with. And because we are supposedly a pluralistic society that we keep trying to promote left and right, heated discussions between both sides, conservative and liberal, right and left, are necessary for our democracy to work. We don't have a mob rule, but we do have due process for it. We do have processes for it. I can support your right. It is your right, but I don't support the consequences. And you know what? You're not protected by the consequences either. Say, for example, if I'm going to say something really disgusting that people are going to be clipping and cutting and pasting on, which probably would get me kicked off. Now, if I happen to go through those lines, if I happen to go along those lines of thought right there, and I can say I'm protected under the First Amendment because I'm making a protest against X, Y, and Z. Maybe the X, Y, and Z is part of the government, or maybe a private individual. That being said, the local laws in the jurisdictions would have a deeper amount to say about it. I may have the civil rights to protest and give my opinion. However, regarding damages to character and to whatever happens, the First Amendment does not protect me against consequences like that. If I'm going to say X, Y, and Z suck, because I'm going to say, and the reputation of X, Y, and Z starts to suffer from it, they will put me through court, and I will sue them or countersue them, and they'll say, I have a First Amendment right to say whatever the hell I want. They'll say, yes, you have a First Amendment right. However, it's always the howevers, because now the howevers are going to get you. They don't understand that SCOTUS has been limiting, but it is the job of the Supreme Court of the United States to interpret both spirit and letter of the law and the Constitution and how it applies. Regards to conservatism out there, they have their own viewpoints, and I have a liberal viewpoint. I had no great love for him, and I still don't. But I pity him, and I feel sorry for him and his family. My condolences to the Limbaugh family for their loss. I mourn a human being. I don't mourn the policies, and I don't mourn the stigma or the persona. I mourn the human being, and I mourn the soul, and that's it. That's all I can mourn. Everything else, people may rally around the icon of Trump and Limbaugh because both are influential in our government system regarding conservatives. It had been said a long time ago that Rush would control who would get into government regarding conservative because he would control the mob. Now his voice is dead. There's going to be other people out there trying to take his place. Some tried, and some failed. People may jump on my ass because I'm probably going to be talking about conservatives have a right to say what they have to say, and I'm against everything else, liberal. And the only thing I can counter at this point over here is saying, study your damn history and study your damn laws. How did this country form? We've got many versions of the history going on at this point. But how the government system was set up, that's factual, that's actual. And how the First Amendment applies is a constant situation. Breaking and entering or torching people or places and things, that's not First Amendment. That's mob. That's criminal. But if you're outside protesting like crazy, even if you're screaming and yelling at the top of your lungs, tell them that you have a right to protest, but you're still not protected by the consequences of your actions afterwards. Rush knew this. He had to have. And eventually, I don't know if he's going to end up in heaven or if he's going to end up in hell. It's not my call. All I know is the conservatives will use him as a martyr from now on. And that's going to be the consequences we all bear. See, in this country, there cannot be one party, one ring, one thing that rules everything. Because it's no longer a democracy. Congratulations. You just became Russia. You just became China. And every other socialist and authoritative government system out there. In the United States of America, we have, I know, two major parties. It's not written in the law, but it is part of our ethos. It's part of our history. If we actually did have more parties coming into the Congress, if we actually did have another party who actually wins the White House instead of the two major portions, that's still allowed because that's never been outlawed. So if you have a party of X, Y, and Z, and you may be the ultra, whatever you are, either liberal or conservative, or maybe middle of the road, whatever you are. If you happen to win the majority votes and you get into office, the Constitution does not bar you from that. All of this being discussed because of one conservative there's a lot of negative connotations and a lot of negative words I can say about this guy. He has pushed well too many buttons and well too many attitudes at this point over here that I really seriously don't like and don't support. But the only thing I will say, and the only thing I will put into this is I don't like him or his words, but I support him regarding the First Amendment rights. I mourn him as a human being, if there is such a thing as a human being inside of him. And I will pray for that. Because everything else on the outside, that's a different story altogether now, isn't it?